Right guys and girls, all 1% of you. Giving myself a new rod. Some of you may or may not be familiar with this make. They're called Zulcron. They're based in the UK in the northeast. It's run by JD, who's a England team manager and former international caster. Cast 300 yards. He's very well known in the casting scene. So now that SUBTITLES is away, obviously there's still Sentry and stuff, and other UK rods, Harrison, whatever. Zulcron have aimed the price range at quite competitive. The blank, they do several types of rods from their on their website. They can see a bass, a match rod, a light, and the XT435. So I'll put a link below to the proper website so you can actually read the products, because I'm not 100% familiar with them. So this is a rod bag that came in. A Zulcron XT435, cast with 300 gram, 14'4". So this is the most powerful rod in the range, and I'm looking forward to casting it. So I just got a blank, so it's not built at all. I'll have to put some rings on it, but I'll let you see the rod. There's a metal band at the top there, and some whipping, bit of shrink tube. And then down near the handle section, there's a different kind of weave, which looks absolutely lovely. It looks like a snake or something. And it's only down to about there, so I'm assuming it's just a good sort of rigid pivot in the middle. I'm not an expert on rod design or anything, but it seems to be from here to here. It's been beefed up. So I'm going to use it reeled down. Ideally, it's a very light rod. I'll weigh it up actually and let you know what much it weighs. I'd probably just put shrink wrap on here and use the reel, but I have a real habit of sometimes when swinging the weight bashes into the middle here, so I would like to keep it nice and light, but it'll still be light, but I'm going to shrink tube it up to here because I have a real habit of swinging it. The weight comes back, smashes into the blank, and at least with a bit of shrink tube on there, there's a bit of protection. So what's that? It must be, well, it's equal sections, so it's 7'2" butt. You see it, 7'2" butt and a 7'2" tip. Let's have a look at the tip. I think it's 3.5mm tip. Feels quite. This model feels firm, quite a firm tip. Really beefs up into the middle section. Quite a strong, quite tapers down here in the middle of the tip, and then it's quite smooth. So I'm really looking forward to getting this going. So I'm gonna get some ring. As I said before, I'm not an expert on how they build rods and stuff like tapers and stuff. I just want to get out and cast and see how it performs. That's my main aim. So thankfully Jay's put some marks on for me for the ring spacings. You can see the white dot. So we'll get some rings put in this. I have to go out to the shop and get some shrink tube, so we'll get shrink tubed up. Send me a nice set of minimalist style rings. I'm going to go with the ones with the gold insert. I think they'll look nice in the blank. So, but wise, I'm trying to think compared to the TXLs here. It's probably quite similar. Maybe a slightly bit less give in the butt, or more give in the butt. But the tip section feels nice and firm, especially the middle and the top. So I don't know how it's going to cast. I've heard very good results in the field. They've been close to 300 yards a few times. Phil Jones and Jamie Blakeman's been hitting high 60s meters with it. So let's get it rung up and go for a cast. And because it's rated to 300 gram, I think I'll chuck a wee 300 gram on it, but I don't actually have any. Now I'm waiting for some come in the post, but let's get it built up. Just like the ad there as well, even though the company's based in the northeast of England, the rods actually are manufactured in China. Keeps the cost down, and also they offer at least a year warranty on any breakages for manufacturing defects, and the rods have been rigorously tested by various different types of casters. And sometimes it's not always the big casters break rods. You know, sometimes it could be someone who doesn't cast as far but has a poor technique. People who start chopping the rod, twisting the rod, casting with the weight well inside the tip, where it puts a lot of pressure on the top of the tip. So the rods have been vigorously tested. To my knowledge, I've seen a lot of testing done over the last year or two on YouTube, or Facebook, sorry. So they do come with a warranty of at least a year, guaranteed, and any breakage will be replaced, no questions asked, which is pretty good. So back to the normal video. Right, so the rings I actually opted for, the set of rings that came were, there was 10 rings in total, 9 intermediates and 1 tip ring, starting from a 40 down to 12, I think. So I nearly always use 30 as my first ring, so I thought for a change I'll try 40, because I've seen some people using slightly bigger rings in multiplier, starting with a 40, so I think I've started with a 40, then down to a 12. UK hooks coasters. So let's slip her together. One thing I like quite a lot about it is, this is even before you can cast it, the spigot is nice, because I find a lot of rods, you slide it in, it gets to a point, it just stops, and it's like very little movement. This thing is nice and progressive. When you slide it in, it just gradually tightens up. Just gradually tightens up perfect. Just giving that a wiggle there. To be honest, it doesn't feel unlike my TXL, but the top of the tip is definitely stiffer. What I'll do is I'll put a few weights on the end here to see how much deflection you get off the tip. But that's like this top section of the tip is quite stiff. But it is a tournament extreme rod, so we'll see how we get on that. So, first impressions, it feels pokey, very pokey, especially the top of the tip. But from what I hear, it's still quite easy to cast, so proof is in the pudding, so let's head down now. It's a lovely day outside, so hopefully there's not too many people. Well, there probably will be, so this filming might be today, might be tomorrow, depending on how many people are about. Well, it's about a week later, and the temperature's changed, dropped way down, so some people in here. There's a few people about, we're going to try to get a few casts. We'll start off with just like a sort of fishing pendulum style of cast, okay? 150 gram. The rod feels nice and light in the hand for the type of rod it is. I mean, it does feel light. Well, it's probably an easy 210, 220 yards maybe. Relatively light effort. Rod feels lovely, it's good, well compressed there in that cast, as you can see by the slow-mo. So I think I'll go on to a tournament style cast, 150 now, and then go on to some heavier leads, maybe a 200. crown, I thought I'd put some weight on the end of the tip just to show you the deflection. It's a pet peeve of mine the way sometimes beach casters are rated. Like the more top end rods are more accurate, you know, 8 ounce, but some of the cheap, you can buy a cheap rod beach caster for 30 quid and it says 8 ounce. And I think it would snap. Some of them, they feel really floppy. It's a pity we don't do test curves for beach rods, but anyway, I'll put 500 gram on the end of this. I'm not going to cast 500 gram, so it's over a pound of lead, just to show you the deflection of the tip. This is just to give you an idea of the tip stiffness, so, because it is quite stiff tip. This is 500 gram on the end of it. The lump that is the 200 gram. 203. Probably the clip adds a couple of grams. Right, let's whack for the lump. Haven't really cast 200 gram in about 4 or 5 months, so I'm going to take the first one pretty slow. So. Right lads, that's it all done for now. The rod handles the big leads very well. I've only really been to the field with it once, and there was quite a big strong crosswind. I managed around 240 metres approximately at the field, high pressure as well. So hopefully I get back down to the field when there's better conditions, see what I can do with the rod. But my distances seem comparable with my SUBTITLES TXL. The rod feels lighter, slimmer than the TXL. It's a bit stiffer in the tip, maybe a tiny bit softer in the butt. Midsections are quite similar, in my opinion. I think the rod is good value for money. It's priced well in a sort of between cheaper rods and the top end rods. 300 quid for a blank. I don't know what they are built. If you go to the Zulcron Sports website, which I'll put all information below. But it's, for me, for fishing with that, I probably wouldn't use it for fishing around here unless I was really going for big fish, because I prefer a bit more sensitivity in the tip for bites. But I have other rods for that, and there's other rods within the Zulcron range for that kind of thing. To me, this is a out and out tournament casting rod, but that's not to say you can't fish with it. Just for me, the tip is a wee bit stiff for that kind of thing. But for casting, I love it. I like a nice stiff tip on the rod. It controls the swing very well. Any negatives about the rod? I don't really have any at the moment. Well, maybe one slight criticism would be Maybe one slight criticism would be the rod bag could be improved maybe a bit. It's not bad, it's not the worst by any means, and it's reasonably thick material, but it'd be nice to have a sort of padded bag for this kind of price of rod. But anyway, the finish is quite nice on the rod. Maybe a bit of I think the sticker, I'm not sure if that'll wear off over time. Maybe a bit of a light bit of varnish or whatever over the logo, but that might come with a proper build. I just got a blank, so I can't really complain about that. This particular rod, it's not reinforced at the bottom for an extension or reducer, but Jay told me that the next batch will be reinforced for a reducer. But for me, the rod's 14'4", it's long enough, even with the rail 6-7 inches up. I like using a rod about 13'10", so it's fine for me. So I've no need for an extension or reducer. Time will tell how long they last, but I've no reason to doubt they won't last because they've been tested thoroughly. I'm sure they've been tested up to 300 gram by lots of casters of various abilities, which I've mentioned before. Sometimes it's people who cut the arc a lot, twist the tip. They're the people who more likely break rods. But we'll see what the rod's like in a couple of years' time. That's all we can do is wait. There's no substitution for casting the rod week in, week out, and see what it's like in a couple of years. So hopefully I'll keep the rod using the rod at the field for the next several sessions just to see how I get on with it in good conditions. And it's definitely a rod I'm going to keep in my arsenal. So cheers Jay for supplying the rod, and check them out guys in the Zulcron Sports below. I want to give an honest review, and I'm trying to think of a negative of the rod. I don't really have any at the moment. I'll see how I get on with the rod the next wee while, but it feels very nice to cast. It doesn't feel unmanageable. It feels reasonably user friendly for the kind of rod it is. Even with smaller weights, 150 gram, it still loads the rod up quite well. So cheers guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe and like the video, it really helps, and share the video as much as you can if you want. Cheers guys.